first guest has something very cool for us. He is the co-founder and owner of New York Distilling Company. Welcome to the show, Alan Katz.
Nice to be with
you. What do you have for us?
Oh, I have things that you can make your own homemade sanitizer with, of course.
Oh, there we go. That is exciting. Tell us all about
Topic of the
this.
day. Well, I'm from the New York Distilling Company in Brooklyn, and we make gins and rye whiskeys. I brought you a little rye whiskey range today, some of our classic ragtime rye, and a fun, what we call a bottled cocktail in modern conversation called Mr. Katz's Rockin' Rye, an old style of whiskey that goes back to the 1830s, but we're helping revitalize cocktail culture.
Yeah, and you also have a bar. Can you tell us about it?
Sure, it's called the Shanty. By law, it's attached to our distillery in Brooklyn, and it is a full-service cocktail bar. It doesn't only serve our products. We've got a range of spirits and beer and cider, but we're really fascinated to welcome guests because there's a big bay window that looks right onto the manufacturing floor, and you can actually see the equipment that makes the spirits
that's fun.
that we actually produce.
And Alan, just so you know, our viewers tune in from all over the country, so not everybody has the luxury to go to your distillery and sit, at that bay window, which sounds
Absolutely.
beautiful. But then for all our viewers watching, what makes this different?
Well, for our rye whiskey, what makes it different, one is that we're a young company. We're 8 years old. We're in the range of so-called craft distilling. But important to us, we're the New York Distilling Company. We make everything that we sell. So in the context of rye whiskey, for example, we're really attuned to how we age it. You think of whiskey and aging it in barrels. And the ragtime rye is aged as a combination of 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-old ryes. So it is unique in that we make it, we age it for several years, and then we also, joy-stakingly, as I like to say, cherry pick special barrels to make specific blends that ultimately get bottled.
Do you drink a lot?
I am more of a gin person, actually.
great.
Gins are my favorite.
Mine
So
too. I love
gin.
gin.
Tonic forever.
then this, just for the people who are not so much of a drinker, in our audience, what's the normal process of aging whiskey?
Yes,
and
definitely.
what's your process? How do you pick? Because
Well,
there
we're
are some
trying to
things you
take a
look for.
traditional process, but on a smaller scale. For example, our unwritten, unstated goal is to make 1,000 full-size or 53-gallon barrels per year. If you're a big player in Kentucky, for example, you probably fill 1,500 barrels every single day. So on our scale, the process is just a little bit smaller. We fill barrels, and it's really a game of patience. And let the barrels age, because the real key to maturing whiskey and getting nuance of flavor is letting it evaporate. So over time, and we lose about 5% to evaporation every year, temperature changes in the distillery or our warehouses where we age our whiskey, and those flavors actually start to concentrate through interaction with oxygen. So it's a game of patience, not complicated, not too scientific, and then we trust on our palate to really pick specific barrels to make blends that we feel are great, versatile whiskeys that you could drink on their own or mix in a cocktail.
Most definitely. So can you give us some tips about running a bar in New York City? Because it can be really
so many
challenging.
bars.
There are so many.
bars.
Well, there's
Go to
how to
yours.
clean graffiti,
Oh, man, yeah.
plumbing repairs. But other than that, it's really about guest experience. And again, in our case, it's really having that interchange that we're able to offer tours of the distillery, and then you can come back in and have a cocktail and be entertained. I mean, we go out to bars to be social, whether it's with someone we know or to meet new people, and that's what we're really trying to add to that social experience, and maybe just a bit of touch of education. And if someone's interested in more, well, we're at the ready to share an experience with them on a little bit more technical level as well.
Okay,
I want to go on a tour.
Yeah,
That
go
sounds
on a
fun.
tour. Say if our viewers, we go on a tour, just without giving your whole tour away.
Sure.
Tell us something that they can show off to their friends about whiskey or the
Jenny,
making
I mean, you're
of
really
whiskey.
going to learn.
and then they could feel smart about, and then they can get from you. That
Well,
they
you're
can't
going to
get
learn the
from
nuts
elsewhere.
and bolts of how we produce our alcohol. One is that distilling itself is not the production of alcohol. That's fermentation, whether it's wine, beer, distilled spirits. What we're doing in large part is, in distilling, is refining alcohol. We're putting the fine edges on it, really paying attention to how we use distilling equipment to create delicious raw spirits, whether it's gin or rye whiskey. In the case of gin, we don't age it.
Right.
we let it rest, we add water to bring the proof down, and then we bottle it. So it's really about botanical selection on gin. What are the specific ingredients that we use to flavor the alcohol we make Perry's Tot, a Navy strength gin, and Dorothy Parker, New York gin. And in the case of whiskey, as I said, it's really about how we're aging. And what you might also learn that you can show off with your friends is the differences between where barrels are aged. And in our setting, you can get a view of about 100 barrels that we keep on hand in the distillery. And whether they're higher up toward our ceiling or lower down toward the distillery floor, backward or forward, all of those elements will come into play based on how the temperature variance interacts with the whiskey in the barrel.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to go on that. So you're obviously based here in New York, but can people around the country find your alcohol online?
They can. We're in about 15 states and some international countries as well, but you can also look us up online. All the emails come to me at info@nydistilling.com. They all come to me personally, and if you can't find it where you are, save for 13 states that don't allow intercommerce mail of alcohol, we'll help you find ways to get it.
Perfect.
All right, so right after you get off our show, you're going to go back to respond emails.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Must be a very busy person.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for joining
My
us.
pleasure.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Great seeing you.